this series is a little bit different. Instead of just talking about marketing, we're going to be talking about marketing, working life, and motherhood. We're going to be talking about the juggle, speaking to women at all different stages of their journey, from pregnancy to new babies to like long-term working mums, to understand how they make it all make sense. I planned this when I was very pregnant and honestly just didn't back myself to talk about anything that was all work. So instead, I'm going to be blending it all into a series of conversations that I am really excited about, and I really hope you're going to enjoy too. As ever, please do get in touch at any stage to let me know what you think.
Hello and welcome to the first episode in our new series, The Maternity Hustle. So the marketing hustle has been going for a long time, but I've taken on a new role recently as first-time mum, giving up my job as CEO of my 3 businesses. It's been a challenging ride. We're 11 weeks in yesterday, and I'm learning a lot. Today, I've got Katy Cottam coming round, who is CEO and co-founder of Luna Daily, which is a women's beauty brand that has saved me all the way through pregnancy and motherhood. Katy and I have known each other for a really long time, and I'm so excited to have the chance to chat to kind of an old friend in a public forum about all of the stuff that I've been gossiping as I walk around the park about, that I've been thinking about late at night, and some of these big questions that I just don't think gets enough airtime. Thank you to Little Freddie, an amazing brand that has sponsored this series. You'll be hearing more about them in an ad break coming up later. I'm really excited to hear what you think of this show. We've got another 7 lined up in the series and maybe more to come if you guys enjoy the conversations as much as I think I will. So please do subscribe and slide into my DMs with any feedback on what you'd like to hear us talk about next.
I'm going to take 30 seconds, and I promise no more than 30 seconds, to quickly tell you about what I do. I'm obsessed with startup marketing, and I run 3 businesses. So the first is Upworld, which is a community for people in marketing. If you're feeling lonely or out of touch with other people in the industry, that is for you. Or you want to upskill fast, that's your place to go. Secondly, Up Talent, which is my take on a recruitment service. I have hated working with recruiters, both as a candidate and a hiring manager, so I set out to design a process that was like heartwarming and magical for everyone involved. And then finally, Brand Hackers is fractional marketing teams for brands with big dreams. So if you are either a marketing director looking for help to fill in gaps in your team, or you're a founder thinking about how you structure marketing in the future, that might be the solution for you. Every parent, wherever they are at in the parenting journey, knows that it is a whole mix of emotions, from guilt to joy, from magic to carnage. It's like a whole hot mess. And there are some things that we need to rely on to get us through that. Every moment is a decision, and every day is littered with tiny moments where you have to question what you're doing. Whether that is getting up at 5 a.m. with your child to make the most of the beautiful blue morning, whether that's leaving them to sleep so that you can get a precious second to have a coffee, it is a mixed bag, and we're all just muddling through as best as we can. There are amazing brands out there who really understand that and are making products that are fit for modern mums and dads. Little Freddie's, our sponsor for this series, is one of them. Little Freddie is the baby food brand for parents, designed to provide real food there for the moments where you really need it. Founded by food-loving parents, Piers and Taz, who designed this range when they were weaning their very own Little Freddie, the boy that this range was named after. Each product is genuinely tasty. It's filled with delicious, healthy, nutritious ingredients that gives your kid everything they need at that stage in their life. Since 2014, Little Freddie has been dedicated to making delicious meals for those days when you just can't get your head around doing it all yourself from scratch. And that's absolutely okay. We're all gonna have those days. That's why Little Freddie never adds any salt or sugar, and over 50% of their meals are plant-based. Their products are so ideal for parents heading back to work or juggling loads of stuff. And what is really important to me as a new mum, when I just do not have the time to read any of this, is that everything's crafted with a paediatric dietitian. It's quite hard to say that, which shows how much intel they have. And so you can really trust that everything is total confidence that it's the right texture, the right ingredients, the right formulation for your baby.
Okay, we met, for anyone listening, Katy and I met, for anyone listening, that's so desperate. I hope someone's listening. 10 years ago?
Maybe longer.
We were hooked up on a blind date by our bosses.
At least 10 years ago.
At least 10 years. Yeah. And our bosses literally said, go on girls, go out for dinner, buy yourself a nice...
We think you'd get on.
We think you'd get on.
And we said, give you
have a glass of wine, yeah. And now we are here with babies strapped to our chests, trying to run...
plan. We didn't time on intending on how...
No, this sounds like we had a conversation and said, let's do it together.
Necessity if we want to get the podcast done. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also sounds like we said, let's get pregnant.
Also
was not the plan.
No.
But like many nice moments, it feels like we've done stuff in sync over the years.
Yeah.
So yours is now 4
weeks.
4 weeks. Very fresh.
She's fresh, yeah.
A very fresh little one. How are you?
Here. I'm in made the expedition.
And she got both her socks all the way here.
Only just.
Those
socks are on. I'm really good. It's been the shortest and longest amount of time ever. Like, I joked that it's mad how quickly it's gone, given I've never been awake so much in my life, apart from maybe a festival at a long weekend in my 20s.
And that was 3 nights.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm good. I'm really good.
Great.
I'm really enjoying it. For the
Great.
most part, I'm really enjoying it. How are you?
Yeah, great. Really, I had very low expectations.
I did. Yeah, actually, it's true. I did. I assumed. It felt safer to assume I would hate it, particularly this early, which I know sounds really negative, but I would rather plan the worst and then be pleasantly surprised than be like, I'm going to love it. It's going to be amazing. And they'd be like, oh my God, this is really hard. So I'm the same, actually. So maybe I'm pleasantly surprised because my expectation was...
I think it's a wise ethos for life.
Yeah.
Let's jump into kind of planning for this ride. So we last caught up when we both had quite modest bumps.
Yeah.
For a coffee in the summer.
Yeah.
And we were sort of talking about, I was kind of talking about stepping back, and you were talking about beginning to tell your team and beginning to talk to investors.
Yeah.
Tell me how that went, the journey from there.
So you've been so helpful to me because you're just such a planning queen. And so I just stole lots of your planning ideas, but also because you're a few months ahead of me.
Yeah.
So I now look back and think, God, I was so naive. But it's really hard. I think the first thing is I found it really hard to plan for something that you can't make a plan for, particularly if it's your first. You have no idea how you're going to feel, how your baby's going to be, how your birth is going to be, how your recovery is going to be. And so the best advice I got was have plan A, B, and C.
Yeah.
You actually can't plan, and you don't know it's going to happen. I have definitely gone on a whole journey of getting used to it. And the journey started with I didn't tell my team until I was 6.5 months pregnant. I mean, I was like, when I tell them, they're either going to be duh or really surprised. And everyone was no one had a clue, which I'm just blown away by. I was like,
because you were wearing tents at this point, presumably.
Well, and yeah, it must have been. But also I thought it, to you, it's so obvious. But no one had any idea. But the reason I left it so long was that I think partly for me getting through the 20-week mark was quite important, just from making sure everything's okay. And also, I was fundraising at the time, and it felt odd to me to have my team know and to not have investors know. And I had to go on my journey myself of working out when I told investors, both existing and new. Mainly, all the advice I got was close the fundraise, get money in the bank account before you tell anybody, which didn't...
Excuse me.
Which in the end, I didn't do. I ignored the advice. I told everybody. But I didn't feel comfortable my team knowing and my investors not knowing.
Okay. Why did you ignore the advice?
It's a relevant business update. Sorry, I should answer that a bit better. Why did I ignore the advice? Well, that is the main reason. For me, it is an important... It's not everything, but it is important. Hi, I'm going to be going off for a period of time is an important update. If anybody in the team at a senior level was going to be going off. I also decided that I trusted them. Yeah. And I was like, I've got a great relationship with existing investors. So this was originally an internal investment round that we closed very quickly. And so we opened up for some external. And I trusted them. But I was like, they believe in me in the business. There's enough other stuff that is why they would invest it. This wouldn't be a reason not to. And I'm so glad I did, because all of my existing investors responded incredibly. New investors didn't. I will never know if somebody said no to investing in us because of it, but I've had amazing new investors join, and I haven't felt at all discriminated. And I feel like that's an important message, because in a world where I'm so acutely aware that fundraising for women, for solo founders, is so bad, it's not getting any better.
Yeah.
The situation for women getting pregnant and returning to work is so bad, but I do think it's important to highlight when there is positive.
Absolutely.
Because I think that also can help inspire other people because my experience has been amazing. Like I overfunded around quite significantly, and everyone knew I was about to go off on maternity leave. In fact, I've had 3 calls since I've been off, and we've raised quite a bit more money from those phone calls. Like I'm literally I'm not working. Long-winded way of answering your question.
No, but it's a very...
My brain is.
It's a very positive story.
Yeah.
As you say, in a space where there's a lot of PDFs with the stats on how bad it is, and a lot of narrative that has a place. It's not to deny that narrative, but I think it's really important that we say that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I think it ultimately comes down to trust, because had I not said anything, I would have raised the money, got it in. I'm sure no one would have said anything. If I then go, hi, I'm pregnant, no one would have said anything to me. But if I was them, I'd be going, there's a little bit of a lack of trust there that you just didn't mention it. And I'm really glad I did, because it didn't feel right to me to not.
How did you talk about it? Because I think that theme, right, of let's be trustworthy, let's be transparent, we want to do business the way we want it done, is really clear. But the actual execution of that conversation is terrifying. Yeah.
So I decided to tell investors first, then my team. So practically there was like a cadence to it.
Yeah. Because, pause on why you did it in that order.
Why did I do it in that order? I think I was quite nervous of telling both investors and my team, but for different reasons.
Okay.
And so maybe, I don't know, actually. I think what I knew is that it felt uncomfortable having lots of people know and not my investors know. That just didn't, my investors are part of my team. Like, really, they're an extension of my team. They're my advisors. They're the people that I go to when I need help. All of my investors I'm on, like, WhatsApp basis with. Like, so I don't know why, really, but I did. And very practically, I first went to my board and I arranged an individual meeting with each of them, where they probably knew there was, I was like, I want to come see you, got an exciting update. I actually don't think I was showing that much. And I just said, I've got a really exciting No, I didn't say business update. I must not have done. I've got a really exciting update, which is I'm pregnant. And I went into those conversations with a bit of what was my plan? Because I would expect that they would go, what is going to be the plan? And they went really well. And then I think that the same week I told my team, and the reaction was just like gobsmacked, so surprised. No one had any idea.
I find that so baffling.
But I had done prep leading up to that of recruiting a team, thinking like, I'm hopeful I'm going to be able to get pregnant at some point in the next couple of years. So I had also done some kind of pre-work.
It's really important. I think it's a really important point, how long the journey starts to get before you get to a point where as a solo founder it's possible. And I think we were both really fortunate in I mean, odd to say, like, fortunate that we have the foresight, fortunate that we did the work, and that by the time we did get pregnant, we was like part the way down that journey. I always think like how my time would have been different if I had suddenly found out I was pregnant without that lead in.
Yeah. Although you have to learn that even if you're the best plan in the world, that could change, because I have a very small team, and before I told my team I was pregnant, my 2 most recent hires told me they were pregnant, which is amazing. Like, as a female founder with a team of predominantly women, that's so amazing for them, but it wasn't in my plan. Like, and you have to then also think, whatever your plan is, again, have a plan.
Yeah, I had that. I had 2 senior leaders.
Yeah.
One resign, one go down to 50% hours. 2 weeks before I went on mat leave, one told me at 9, the other told me at 9:20. And it's like, no spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Like, nothing can stop life getting in the way.
Yeah.
And, total respect for both of their decisions. Total, like, I had done all my homework, and yet you get blindsided.
Yeah.
And life just does that.
But I've also seen it as an amazing opportunity, that if you forget that I'm being taken out of the business because I'm, keeping a child alive, the business is 3.5 years old. Yeah. It's the best time ever for me to step back, because so much of my job and what I'm involved in, I really think is habitual, because I've always been involved in.
Yeah.
And you go from being like a one-man band doing every job to gradually getting bigger and bigger, but still kind of, being in everything. And one of the best things that's come from it is it fast-tracked the decision to hire a CFOO. So I employed a chief financial operating officer who started a couple of months before I went off.
Okay, double O.
It's a thing, yeah. So
I didn't know whether that was like a pregnancy slur, like a baby brain, or a thing. Okay.
Basically.
CFOO.
Yeah, so basically, Ivana runs all of finance and operations.
Got it.
Also covers investor relations, people and legal, which prior to having her, every function reported into me. So brand, commercial, marketing, product development, and those functions.
Okay.
When hiring for her role, I kept saying like a CFO/COO, and then someone was like, no, it's just CFOO or COFO. So you can pick COFO or CFOO. But apparently that's the thing. That's an acronym.
Who knew?
Yeah. But it fast-tracked that decision, which is the best thing ever, because even if it wasn't mat leave, like it's not sustainable long-term for all of those functions to report into me. And as we scale as a business, I'm not the best person for that, because, I come from brand marketing, product development. I'm a good generalist, but I absolutely, and I'm so delighted I now have somebody that has way more experience than me in those functions.
And it does sometimes take for you to have your back against the wall a bit to
Yeah.
do the stuff that you need to do.
Yeah.
You used the word excited when you talked about telling your investors. I love that you said, I've got a really exciting update. And again, I think that's quite countercultural. I think we're told to be a bit apologetic.
Yeah.
And that the narrative is, I'm so sorry, or I need to talk about something, kind of eek, the implication being like, eesh, this isn't a thing. And the response is always, as a kind of playbook, right? Someone says to you, I'm pregnant. You say, I'm so happy for you. You give them a minute's pause, and then you go, okay, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And it's like codified as a problem quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I just was really struck by the way you framed that in those conversations. Was that intentional?
It might have been. Maybe it was me. What's that word where I'm sort of like portraying,
Like manifesto?
Yeah, but I'm portraying like exactly. They're like, if you go in with a bit of a, you likely to get that response.
No, I think it's very powerful context setting.
So tell me what Sticky Beak does.
Well, Sticky Beak's a marketer's best friend, I think. So we're here to help you get rapid feedback from your target audience. Might be new product development, campaigns, brands. You might be looking at going into a whole new market. And we're here to help you get cost-effective, quick feedback from your consumer about that.
Imagine I am the phenomenal marketing manager of our lovely sponsor, Little Freddy, with this delicious prune yogurt with oats. How might I use Sticky Beak to make this brand and product more effective?
Great question. So many ways. So as we know, packaging is kind of the most important thing as a brand on shelf. So that's what we would help you test. So not just the pack design, but maybe the format. So pouch format sizes. It could be the claims that are going on the pack. They could be looking at a new category, and so maybe there's a sub-brand they want to put in there. So anything around your NPD, but also any campaign work. So Little Freddy's might have a retail display moment. They might have some in-store display. They might have some outdoor media. It's a big investment. So how do you test your headlines, your calls to action, everything to do with kind of that campaign moment as well.
And what that actually means is that I can go onto the platform and I can put comparisons next to each other.
Totally, like it's all on your terms. So this is an online rapid tool that gets you feedback in 48 hours at the latest. So works on your deadlines and your timings. So you upload, say you've got 4 packaging directions that you want to get some feedback on. The respondent compares those, and importantly though, tells you why they like the option they like. Because maybe you're trying to get across a really strong health message, and if that's not coming through in the pack design, even with the one that's favourite, then that's not the right design for you. So that verbatims, the why, becomes, I think, the most important thing.
So the why is like open text feedback.
Totally.
Fascinating.
Power of AI summarises that for you, because you don't have time to read 200 responses.
No.
So it's all summarised, themed with, some banger quotes to support that for you to just make a quick call and keep going.
If you're a marketing director or marketing manager and you want to have a go with Sticky Beak, then sign up online and they're going to give you a free pilot if you mention the podcast when you book your demo. Please do also drop me a DM and let me know how you get on with the platform so that we can share it back with the amazing team at Sticky Beak and help do more to spread the word. Right, back to the maternity hustle.
Lily makes the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, audience, for that little break, little ad break.
You were asking me, you were saying, Lottie, about me manifesting when I told our team in phrasing it positively. I think part of that probably was self-preservation of if you position something as awkward, you're more likely to get that response. But also, I really do believe that it's personally really exciting, but given the business that Lily and Daily is, it's also really exciting professionally, because it just feels like the next stage. like my story, and I'm the face of the brand, has always been so interlinked with that of Lena Daly. And it's always my story that inspires, is the thing that connects with people the most. And the fact that I can now just more credibly talk about a stage of womanhood, that, I really do think it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But there probably was also part of it that was my way of like protecting myself from anything, was something that I was actually quite nervous about.
Since becoming a mum, I've realised how easy it is to lose touch with the parts of life that made me, me. My routines, my people, my sense of community. But what surprised me is how much connection I found in this new chapter. Going to baby classes has been such a joy and has given me so much structure and sanity. Those chats before and after, the friendly faces and the sense that we're all figuring it out together. For me personally, getting back to the gym has been a game changer, and I've been able to do that with my baby, all through classes I found on Happity. So that brings me on to this season's sponsor. Happity helps you find everything that's going on for babies and toddlers near you, from music and messy play to arts and crafts, baby massage, and so much more. Parenting can be really hard, but finding moments of joy and other parents who get it doesn't have to be. It's trusted by over 2 million families from all across the UK. Just head to happity.co.uk, pop in your postcode and discover what's happening near you. Just chatting while both babies are screaming off camera about Katie's top tip to get someone to carry your pram up the stairs.
So loads of London doesn't have stairs like my local tube, but my top tip is, if you say to anybody, but often men, who weirdly it's always men around me when I'm getting on the tube on my own, you just go, "You're feeling strong," and no one says no. And it's just like an inadvertent compliment, and then they obviously want to be like macho. Yeah, of course I'm feeling strong. There's a school near where we live, and he was like 16-year-old boys, and they were the only option. So I just had to sort of go to one of them like, "You feeling strong?" And he was like, yeah, mate, take my backpack. And he like took it really seriously. But it's great, because otherwise you can't get around.
So I have a tiny pram, which is the caveat to my take on this story.
I have a tractor.
You have a tractor.
Yeah.
I have the world's smallest pram because I have a very narrow entrance to the house. So we had a big pram, had to trade it down. And I have completely the opposite response. Someone says to me, "Can I help you with the pram?" And I'm like, I didn't weight train for 10 years not to carry my pram upstairs. And so I'm like, baby screaming, wheels everywhere. And I'm like gritting it out on my own. Everyone's like, "Hun, you don't need to do that."
Yeah, no, we're here to help. And it's so surreal to me, because my whole life in London, I've lived here for like 15 years. I've always cycled. And so I feel like the feeling of getting on a line bike on my own will be like the other side of motherhood. Like I'm free.
Because you can't put a baby in a line bike basket.
Or a baby on like a baby one. I feel like it's not kosher. People don't like,
No, I think that's not okay.
No, it's not a thing.
I can help you out there.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
That's a no.
Won't be doing that.
But maybe it's a matter of time.
I did my last line bike 5 days before giving birth, to be fair. I think my husband was like, "You need to stop."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you do. You also told me a story about going for a run quite heavily pregnant, which I think maybe...
I think I was like 6 months.
Yeah, that's quite bold.
No, one time I had to run to the train, so I didn't want to run. And the next day I was like, "Oh my God, that should not have done that."
Well, I was doing sprints the day before he was born because TikTok told me that was a way to induce the baby. So I was on the running track at Bethnal Green.
You mentalist.
Doing 100-metre sprints.
But then, so the day before?
Yeah,
so
it
worked.
work.
Yeah, there you go.
My waters broke at 5 p.m.
In the gym?
No, in the upstairs bedroom while my boyfriend was getting me to do comedy squats.
There you go.
It's like, "Give me 10. And at 7, my waters broke.
Great.
So
sensational. It worked.
Okay, so both babies kicking off one after the other, we were talking about how pregnancy is actually a really good thing for us kind of professionally.
Yeah.
And there's two really interesting versions of this. One is that you've got a plan to get your house in order. So like operationally, you've got to start thinking like a grown up and thinking, how do I make this business operate without me? And the other is what it does for kind of your personal brand and your story and your like connection with the human experience. And for you, it's really tangible. Like you have a range of maternity products.
Yeah.
So for you to have a story where you are, here with your baby on you, like that is very authentic. But I think I've even found in a smaller way, like my ability to connect with so much of the human experience has changed.
Yeah. And actually on your first point there, when I did the very first focus groups for launching the entire brand, which started off as this body care brand wanting to take on these taboo categories like femme hygiene. And, you know, it wasn't specific at that time, you know, we hadn't launched the Motherhood range, but in those first focus groups, I knew we were going to launch a Motherhood range because basically the same lack of great products, lack of conversation, lack of education exists at this life stage. And these women told me in focus groups, like, you approach this life stage, all of a sudden you're thrust a set of brands and products with this like pretty pink packaging and mumsy tone, and all of a sudden you're like, not you. And actually I've really resonated with that because my entire Instagram algorithm is like only how to burp a baby or packing pasta bags. And I was like, that's not all I'm interested in. Like, give me back my old feed, please. So I knew we were going to launch the Motherhood range. But at that time, so this was about 5 years ago now, because it was 4 years in development. So we launched the Motherhood range, which is body care for pregnancy, postpartum and beyond, both to, you know, for yourself, but also to gift, because you would never want to gift any of the motherhood stuff. Like, you'd use it out of necessity on like the dead of the night, it's 3 a.m, your nipples are on fire, you'll order the nipple balm from Amazon, but it's not a product that you enjoy using or is particularly nice to use, and you definitely wouldn't gift. But at that time, thank you. But at that time, for a few years, I've had real imposter syndrome about the range because I wasn't a mother myself, which is mental considering most of the products we buy are from companies run by men. But the fact that I wasn't a mother myself, I had real imposter syndrome about talking about it, which is mental. But it was also, there was another layer of complexity, which is that I got a really bad fertility result. And that was kind of the beginning of our pregnancy journey. And so it was this weird thing of like not feeling like I could authentically talk about this range of products that I developed out of a real need just because it wasn't my need yet. And then you add on a layer of like, am I ever going to be able to use these products? And so it's been this like whole full circle moment of being like, wow, I like can now use the products that I developed, and I so resonate with the insights that were kind of hypothetical coming out of focus groups that is now me. So there's a really beautiful, exciting part of that for me that I'm like, I now feel like I can talk, which it shouldn't have been. I should have never felt uncomfortable talking about a range of products that I developed for women that they really needed. But that's been really exciting for me as well.
Yeah. Was there something very magical about using a nipple balm you'd made for the first time?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, but also so gratifying. Like it, I'm like the best advert. Like, you know, not that there's anything wrong with stretch marks, but I personally didn't want to get stretch marks, partly because it is, you know, it's not the visual thing. It's stretch marks are collagen fibers in your skin breaking. So for me, I was like, if I can have the healthiest skin possible and not have damage to my skin, that's what I want to do. Yeah. I'm like the best advert ever, going 10 months pregnant and using all the products.
I'm right there with you. Hashtag daily.
And yeah, the nipple balm is great.
Is there anything you've discovered about your product or maybe ideas for the future that have come to you now that you're kind of using them in this authentic way?
It reinforces my insight that buy something for the mum. People have been so generous in what they've gifted, and we've been gifted so much stuff, but like so much stuff. And the baby doesn't really need a lot, like nappies, clothes, food, and gift something for mums.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky that my friends have gifted me lots of stuff, but I think the products are perfect for that moment of like, she's not going to have a lot of time. But lots of women said to us, often the only time that they were ever on their own was on the toilet or having a shower.
Yeah.
And that moment in the shower, like women described in detail of like resting their head against the shower wall or like just leaving it on longer even though they were finished because it was the only time on their own. And so having a product that, yes, efficacy, great, but also practically, you know, you can use, like if you've had stitches or you're out of hospital, you know, they've been designed to be suitable for that, but also they're really enjoyable to use. And it's definitely reinforced that for me, that it's not easy to buy something for the mum. And I think it helps with that. I've got loads more product ideas. But we already have a pretty busy innovation calendar. It's 24 months, so I've got to say
So park Dad for a little bit. I will add to that, gift something for the mum and the gifts before and after. Like the 2 weeks after you have a baby, the amount of the generosity is astounding. But when I really needed it was at the end of my first trimester when I was in bits, which was when I was given some Luna Daily oil. And actually I really need it now, you know, like 3 months in when like...
You told me I could have bought some with
Oh,
me.
no, I've got loads. But like, I think it's just like a bigger thing around like thinking about that's like a big old journey for women. It's not that like hot moment where everyone shows up, and actually it's the friends that are showing up now who kind of, you know, are like, this isn't novelty anymore. Like this is just normality. And how are you feeling about that? I think
it's also made me realise how difficult still products are to buy in general for pregnancy postpartum. Like whether it's baby clothes, like so often you go to like a big store and all of it's now online, but actually what you want to do is like, I want to get out of the house. I just don't want to do any more online shopping at 2 a.m. It's really bad. And you go to a store and like, I went to a few big name stores yesterday just to buy some bibs, and no one had bibs in. No one had any bibs. And the same for maternity products, like maternity bras, or like still there is an issue that they're really difficult to buy. And I'm assuming it's because like in stores, there is something like, you know, that is not just a certain time in someone's life that takes up more shelf, that justifies more shelf space, but it's actually really hard to buy products in general still.
I really agree with that. And please let me stop doom scrolling. And, you know, I want a destination, I want a thing to do. Okay, so let's use that segue of like the journey to think about like the journey of pregnancy and business. So tell us a bit about where Luna Daney was when you had that meeting with your investors.
So, to tell them,
like what, like how big is the business? How established is the business? What's the scene into which you're dropping this Katy optimistic bombshell?
Yeah, so we are year 3 of business. So we launched in 2022. So we're in our 3rd year. We're doing really, really well, which is amazing. And I came back from my honeymoon, already pregnant, but I came back from my honeymoon beginning of the year. And we were presented, I don't know when this is coming out, but we were presented a big new opportunity for next year. So for 2026, depending on when this comes out. Which is amazing. But we knew that we were going to need some more investment to fuel that growth. And so we had a board meeting, I think the week after I came back from my honeymoon, and decided to do a fundraise. So we launched the fundraise, I think, in March, maybe March, April. Which was originally planned as an internal, from internal investors, so existing investors. And we filled that within 3 weeks. And we also had quite a lot of external interest. And what's amazing is that even when something's confidential and internal, somehow everybody finds out. So we were getting lots of external interest. And given that by no means is the investment landscape, the beauty landscape, the American landscape, any of the landscapes back to normality or out of the woods, let's say, decided that it could be a good idea to overfund and get some new partners around the table. And so over the next 6 weeks, did that. And so I suppose the reason we're telling that part of the story is that the business was in a really good place, and that probably had the business been struggling, I wouldn't have felt responsible getting pregnant, I don't think. I mean, I also wasn't trying to get pregnant. We were really, really lucky that after all of the fertility worries, I'll never know whether the lifestyle changes me and my husband made, you know, all of that had an impact, but we ended up getting pregnant really, really quickly, actually, not you know, quicker than planned. But I don't think I would have felt comfortable. I wouldn't have felt comfortable, actually, getting pregnant if the business wasn't doing well. And I would have found pregnancy and now trying to have some time out really, really stressful if the business wasn't doing well. So in summary, the business is doing really, really well. We're going to exceed our budget for this year. This year's about 3 times bigger than last year. Next year will be about 3 times bigger than this year.
So exciting.
And so that's amazing. But I've also felt a real responsibility. And I think lots of women do feel that, of like, where am I at in my career? I did a LinkedIn post about this a while ago, that I think there is just like this tiny window where society thinks it's acceptable to get pregnant. So when you were at P&G and I was at L'Oreal, and you know, we were their early 20s, if one of our colleagues had told us we were pregnant, we would have been like, "Oh, you what?" Sorry, I'm not going to speak on behalf of you, Lottie. I know that I would have been like, "Wow, she's quite young." Then fast forward to, I'm now 35, so we no longer say geriatric, we say advanced maternal age, which is not much better. And all of a sudden, I'm like, medically, you're a bit old. So what we're basically saying is that women can be late 20s to early 30s, and if it's not that, there is judgment, which is actually it's mental. Like, where does that come from? And I don't know why in my early 20s, you know, maybe that's just my peer group and it's London and it's certain type of corporate businesses. You know, I know the averages do differ, but I think there's this real thing for women of like, you had this tiny window where it's sort of like professionally acceptable and deemed like a good thing and not a negative, in a world where either way, whether it's however it's perceived, it's, you know, it's going to have an impact on the woman's career.
Yeah.
There's no doubt it has an impact.
Yeah.
I don't know why I segued into that.
It's very interesting, and a sleep-deprived brain does some creative leaps.
Please rein me in.
for.
Please rein me back.
So you're on a bit of a... This is us on maternity leave. Lol.
Lol. It should be called maternity service. We shouldn't call it maternity leave. Because everyone goes, how long are you having off? And again, even that, it's like... And we were talking about gender roles of like... My husband said to me the other day, he was like, yeah, but I'm actually at work. And I was like, I'm going to catch you there because I'm going to say that my job is... My CEO job, founder job is easier than this. If I had some sleep, like it's easier than doing this every day. This is way harder, I think, than my job. And so this idea that, you know, I'm actually at work versus you're not at work is a whole other topic to navigate, but keep me on track.
No. Well, let's go there. Because I think that, well, I can talk about how complicated I found the gender politics of the whole process. You decide to have a baby as a couple. There's no discussion about who's doing what in that process. So in a heterosexual couple.
Yeah.
For biological reasons. There's then very limited discussion about who's taking the time off work because it's kind of assumed that for the first 4 months, if there's a new job of looking after the baby, it falls on the woman, like the female caregiver as opposed to the male caregiver. And I was really, really angry and still carry a lot of resentment that was a default in our relationship. I'd say that without the resentment being to my partner, but being like to the to the fact of being a woman.
Yeah.
I was really annoyed that both me and my partner are founders. We're both running entrepreneurial businesses, and that we couldn't sit at the kitchen table and say, well, what if we formula fed our baby? And what if I went back to work 2 weeks after birth?
Yeah.
And
I actually tried. I tried. And it, for us, it made no sense. Like I had the exact same thing, and probably both of us approaching this with like, I'm going to have quite low standards that I might not enjoy this. And when we looked at it, my husband gets 2 weeks paternity. He works in a job where his targets aren't even adjusted. So his 2 weeks paternity, he'd had several calls and was on his emails. And for him to take, even if I could offer some sort of shared parental, it meant he wouldn't get any sort of, like, he wouldn't be paid at all. So financially, it just didn't stack up. Like we just couldn't make it work. And you're so right that society is not set up for it. And the UK is so much worse than most of our counterparts, you know, across Europe. And so I had the same feeling of like, it's really annoying that this is just assumed it's going to have to be me.
I think because of the very specific nature of what I do and what my partner does, we have this like almost weird scientific experiment where neither of us have any parental leave policy. Neither of us have like a clear financial benefit or disadvantage. It's almost like the most pure, like, there's very, in the pros and cons table, there was very little in it other than both of us feeling like it was a pivotal time for our businesses. And I guess actually to your point, me feeling like my business was a bit more secure.
Yeah.
I actually felt like, you know, I can and I am taking time to do a different job and everything's going really well and it's really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And he didn't feel like he was in that position.
Yeah.
And that's it came down to that, and it came down to the fact that I have boobs.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And I find that really difficult.
Yeah.
I have it's continuing to challenge loads of kind of gender, like assumed gender norms as we go through the process.
Yeah.
But I do have a little moment, like I get that it's hard and it's not the same as my day job. I have a slightly different take on it. I found my day job very difficult and I find days with him quite glorious. So I have another job, but I'm not sure this is harder, and I know that's not everyone's experience. I feel very grateful for that. And so given that context, I have a partner who goes to work every day, who comes home, who makes me dinner because I've been with him, who does the washing because I've been with him, who gets up in the morning. I'm like, I had to wake up twice in the night, so you take the baby. And then he goes off and does it again. And actually, I know which role I'd rather have right now. And that's been a real shift for me. You know, I feel so grateful I get the time.
Yeah, and it's there's so many emotions and so many themes going on there, because when I say I find my job easier, I can walk into my office And three of the things I think I'm good at as a leader is people present me problems, I find solutions. I like energize people. Like I know I can bring a really good energy and I'm really, really efficient. I think those three of my things. All three of those things are kind of redundant with a new baby. And I could go to, like, I have like relished being like, I love being a founder CEO. I love, it brings me so much energy. And I'm really, I know I'm really good at it. And so that's what I mean about the easier thing of like, it's a whole, for me, it's a whole new set of skills that I'm having to develop. Not just practically, like actually keeping a baby alive. Like I went into pregnancy and, you know, you read a couple of books, but you don't actually know how to be a parent until you just have to do it. And that's how I learned, certainly. And so it's a whole new set of skills to learn. But I'm also, the other two things I'm thinking is that I really want to do this. Like I really want to step away from work and be like, life is short and there are more important things. And being there for like a tiny newborn baby and being their mum in a way that, same, you know, I have boobs and we're deciding to breastfeed. And so in a way that my husband can't is really important to me. Being the kind of leader that like sets the right example, like both showing my team I trust them. Like I haven't built a sustainable business if my team of nearly 12 might be 12, they might have hired somebody, I don't know. Can't run the show without me. Like that needs to happen. But also set an example to them that I trust them, but also like that this is okay to take. And yes, my maternity leave isn't going to look like somebody else's because we're not replacing me. And what feels healthy and balanced to me isn't a year off with no contact and then back 9 to 5. You know, it's going to look a bit different and hybrid. But I feel real responsibility there as well. So there's so many different emotions at play. And I also really feel for my husband because it's similar that he will do, you know, the midnight and the 5 a.m. because I stay up in the night. He has to then go and do like an hour commute into the city. I don't know how, like, you're so right. Like we might be tired, but we can choose to sit on the sofa all day and I can choose to do nothing but make sure I keep this baby alive. And it's also really hard on them. Like if they are going into high pressure situations, also probably being quite sleep deprived and also getting through the front door. And old life was that's when you relax. And when we get to Hal at 11 weeks, she'll be going to sleep at 7. But right now it's like he must walk through the front door. And in the same way, I'm like, all I want to do is give you this baby and have just like a rest. He's probably like, all I want to do is have a rest.
Yeah, and then it flips because Ben comes back and Hal's gone to sleep. And so then you're absent.
Yeah.
So I'll report back on stuff that's happened. And I think I don't have a conclusion on it other than this is really hard.
Yes.
Are you not working?
So I am not working.
Yep.
Plan A, which we're currently still in, was give me 8 weeks of... sorry, she's breathing very loudly. But she's asleep. Plan A is give me 8 weeks of, unless it's an emergency or it's one of these things on a list.
Yes.
Leave me be. So there is a list of things that I want to be involved in. But for the most part, that means I am off. And so after 8 weeks, the plan is to start returning to work, but that might look like an afternoon a week or an hour a day or then a day a week. And so I think as founders, I think we've got a real privilege.
I agree.
That, you know, we do offer a maternity package that I'm really proud of at Loom Daily that I'm not taking full advantage of, like I'm going back to work before what we offer people. But where I think I can add more support than what most businesses do is how you then support women post-maternity leave.
Yes.
Like if somebody wants to do drop off and pick up and work different hours or, you know, that's as long as their role allows for it, that's going to be fine by me. And I think that flexibility and for me, having that flexibility, phasing back into work and then what my schedule looks like in 3 months, 6 months, a year, that's actually where I think the privilege really comes as a founder, that I'm not going to be beholden to, you have to be in 5 days a week, you have to work 9 till 6, which means like I don't actually know how people do it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And actually, I've honestly really enjoyed the interactions I've had with my team because I felt like I'm really value add. Thankfully, my brain hasn't gone to mush. Like I've had a few investor calls with new investors where, well, it resulted in them investing, so I can't have done too bad a job. And I've also like done a couple of other things for me that are sort of like professionally related. And I've got my first keeping in touch with them next week, and I can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
I've really missed them.
Yeah.
Like I think I hadn't realised that I've like handpicked these people to work for us, and so I obviously really what's important to me is I also really enjoy the people I'm around, and I really miss them because I spent more time with them than any of my friends or family, and we all get on really well. And I probably really miss the energy that gives me of like putting my brain to that. So I'm actually really excited to see them. But I'm also, my biggest fear was over-promising, like not knowing what kind of birth I was going to have, what my recovery was going to be like, how I was going to feeling. And also 4 weeks in, everything could change. Like in another 4 weeks, Sure. And so one of my biggest fears has been over-promising and saying I'm going to be more available and not being able to. So I'd rather under-promise and then maybe over-deliver.
Yeah. And you're told that you become a totally different person. Like and that's why we had the same plan A, B and C, because one of those plans has to be, I might wake up and never want to open my laptop again. And that hasn't happened for me. But I went into this with such question marks as to like what I'm going to want to do. And I still have those question marks. Yeah. And it is still, we say that we're so funny. We're like, because we've actually nailed parenthood. We've got like, we're literally
do you remember I WhatsApped
collectively
you?
about 7 days into this journey.
Do you remember I WhatsApped you? I think you must have been 3 weeks in. I was like, you bored? And you're like, no, I'm not bored. And now I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I asked if she was bored. Like, no, you don't have literally a second to be bored. Like, I was genuinely worried I was going to be bored.
I'm not bored, but I have loved the little bits of work I've done.
Yeah.
And I think privilege is the right word for it. And I'm like, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know whether there's an audience for it, but I think there is a job to be done to write a return to work plan that allows someone to be paid to do an hour a day or 2 half days, or to say, I want to go down, I want to take 8 weeks off and then I want to come back at 20% hours.
I was chatting
because we're so lucky.
Yeah, I was chatting to a friend who is the other size, who's had all of her kids that she wants to have. What I haven't nailed, and I think needs work, is not just that, but also how you actually make it possible for women with kids to do it all year round. Because my friend was like, I could probably help you, you could, basically what I'm getting to is summer holidays, is no one has fixed what you do during the summer holidays. Like how do, all of a sudden you've got 6 or 8 weeks off, and unless you're financially able to, and you put your kids through sports camps or summer camps all summer. And I was chatting to her and I didn't have the solution, because I said, if you came to work for me, I wouldn't mind you doing all alternate hours, pick up, drop off. You can use holiday for probably things like half terms. We could probably do reduced hours over Christmas, Easter, but I probably couldn't have you just go off for 8 weeks. That would be quite disruptive. So I didn't have the solution. I think a solution needs to be found for that, because she was like, that is so limiting.
Well, that's a really interesting call to the universe. If everyone has got a way that we can support in that. So I embarrassingly don't know what my company maternity or parental leave policy is. I do know that when I set out to write it, I was incredibly clear that it had to be market leading. And I say that knowing that my policies, I can't be market leading on every policy given the size of the business. And that's the thing that feels uncomfortable. But I know that we just had one of my leadership team had just come back from his first paternity leave when he joined my business. And one of the reasons that he applied for the role was I'm never doing paternity leave in a VC backed big business again. That was so brutal. I'd like to be in somewhere more flexible. What's your parental leave policy? And I was like, mate, we don't know what we're doing. We don't have one. But I said to him, I promise that I will have written one by the time that you need it. And then he called to say, I need it and you haven't written it. And I was like, give me till the end of the day. And he took 6 weeks off, and I was really proud that I was able to give him that. I can't remember what our policy is for working mums, which I need to sort. What's yours and how did you get there?
So I also didn't have one when we launched the business. There's so many things you just don't have.
No, you don't until you need it, and then it's too late.
And then for ages we had what is standard, which I think, so the UK government, if you're listening from the UK, why am I talking like you were earlier? For our listeners,
for our listeners, global. If you're dialing in from,
I think in the UK, I think it is the government will pay you 6 weeks at 90% of your pay. So every business, everybody gets that. We then offer enhanced maternity. So we go above and beyond what the government offers, and we give 12 weeks full pay. and then we go on statutory. So we increased that. So when we started out as a business, we didn't have anything, and then we just did statutory. We just did the government statutory, and unfortunately, it's still very common for lots of stuff. That is just the case.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we're definitely not market leading, and that comes down to a responsibility I have that of a business. You can look at it two ways, but how I looked at it is, I employ majority of people in my team are women.
Yeah, this is
My biggest responsibility is making sure my business doesn't go out of business and has to make people redundant.
Exactly.
You have to basically model, what if X percent, from 10% to 100% of people were to get pregnant in a year, and can you afford it? Because
That's
you've got to
literally the maths I had to do.
pay the salaries, but also pay double for somebody coming in.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're market leading, but I'm actually really proud of that versus the landscape. I've worked, when I was at L'Oreal, that's what we got. No, not L'Oreal, sorry, Charlotte Tilbury. That was what we had at Charlotte Tilbury. I don't know if it's still the case. But then around that, there's lots of other stuff that isn't just what do we pay people on the time that they're off. And that's around returning to work and adjusted schedules, etc. And that's what I'm probably more proud of. How do we go about it? I have an amazing freelance consultant who supports across all HR and people. She's volunteered for Pregnant Then Screwed for 2 years. She's actually herself been made redundant twice while pregnant. And so she's so well placed to support on this. And my biggest advice is go and do lots of research. There's lots of free information available. Don't just do what is standard if you can, because what is standard is not great. So if you can...
It's beyond that. It's brutal.
Yeah. But I also do understand that if you're very early startup stage... your biggest responsibility, you have a responsibility to take care of all of your employees, including those that want to get pregnant, but your even bigger responsibility is keeping your business afloat. Yeah. And so my hope is that we'll be able to continue to improve that. Yeah.
But you've got to hit payroll.
Yeah.
I agree.
And also, I didn't know this, but it's illegal to work for 2 weeks as a woman in the UK. And so my CFO was like, I know you might be keeping in touch with stuff, but just so you know, it's actually illegal for a woman to work for 2 weeks after birth. So you can't work. Not that not that we're going to take ourselves to tribunal, but yeah, it's illegal.
Safe to say I was not in a state to work for 2 weeks. I think that would have been very touch and go. Yeah. You talked a bit about your fertility journey earlier, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
And no one talks about. How much do you mind sharing?
Oh, I'm so happy to share. Because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
So I was never somebody that was innately maternal. I wasn't somebody growing up that was like, I definitely want babies when I'm older. It just wasn't me. Yeah. It took me to meeting my now husband to be like, oh, the idea of having a family with you and like many people, that now I get it. So that didn't happen to me till I was about 30. And so like lots of our generation, I was on the pill until I was about 24. I then switched to a coil, and I never had periods on the coil in my 20s. And I remember being, oh my God, this is so good. I never had periods. And then when I had this revelation that actually maybe we did want kids, not yet, but we were like at some point, I had this like penny drop moment as a 30-year-old being like, oh my God, I don't have periods. What if I don't have periods? And what if it's not, it actually gives me goosebumps thinking about it. What if I don't have periods because I don't have periods? And I felt really stupid. And at the same time as that, there was a female-founded company, I won't name them, but a female-founded company, femtech, let's say, raising loads of money for at-home fertility kits. And I thought I'm going to buy one because I considered investing, but also I considered that it might be something I offer my employees. So one of the things we do, we actually have an entire female health policy. And one of the things we do is, although we can't, fund egg freezing, we offer loans. So a couple of my employees have taken me up on it. We make it more accessible. If egg freezing is something you want to do, I can't pay for it, but I can offer you a loan that makes it accessible. And as part of that wider policy, because for us it's not just around supporting maternity, it's everything from periods, endometriosis, all the way through to miscarriage, abortion, menopause, the full lot, because really we have to support women at every life stage. One of the things I considered was offering these at-home fertility kits. So I ordered one, and the result came back awful, as in and it was both egg, you can look at egg quality and egg count, and mine was egg count. So I think egg quality you can improve, egg count, you count, because what's mental is that Lily already has all of her eggs already, they're already there. It blows my mind. I'm digressing. Anyway, it became really, really bad. And so I had this moment when I was like, oh my God, maybe my fertility's gone to shit, excuse my French. Came off contraception, met an amazing woman called Danny, who is the founder of a company called The Overco, which is a female supplement brand. I took her supplements for a year. And then a couple of months after our wedding, we weren't even trying. And by trying, I mean, you know, days of the month, ovulation sticks, temperature, etc. We fell pregnant. And in the end, it was like slightly premature to what the ideal would have been. And I remember I had this moment with my husband where we found out and he was like, are you happy? Like, this is quite soon. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, I'd take this over, you know, what I'd expected it was going to take us a few years based on the fertility result. And so I think my learning is, I don't know, we were just, I really hope that it's going to be different for the generation underneath us, because I can't believe that I was so ignorant for all of my 20s, thinking it was great that I didn't get periods. And thankfully for me, you know, either the fertility result was a red herring or I'm lucky or a bit of both or whatever, but here we are.
There are so many strange stories, like strange truths that we don't get told. Like you're told, I knew that having a newborn was going to be hard. That had sunk in, but I didn't know that getting pregnant was so hard. I didn't know that this is the one I've talked about a lot, that being pregnant is so hard.
Being pregnant.
The world really has to sort out how they treat pregnant women at work and start having the conversation that it is horrendous.
Yeah.
Hello, little man. There's a tiny baby waking up. I think it's really, really tough.
And the simplest thing, if you can, is just...
Is there a piece of advice that has been useful?
My biggest piece of advice... So I've probably got one professionally and personally. Personally, read or listen to the book by Anya Hindmarsh. If in doubt, wash your hair. God, that was a struggle. I actually listened to the Audible version. She narrates it. And Anya is obviously a founder entrepreneur, an incredible founder entrepreneur, but also has a really interesting motherhood journey because she became a stepmom to 3 kids, I think, very early. She was very young. I think she was about in her early 20s because she married a man who'd been widowed very sadly. So it's an amazing... Her reflection, she wrote the book when she was 50. So it's an amazing book, but also that advice, like everything is just better when you've washed your hair. And then I think professionally, it came from you. Like your Excel document of roles and responsibilities of here's what happens currently, here's the current process of any process that involves you as a founder, down to the tiniest thing and the big things. Here's what currently happens. And I think there will be 4 things. It'll either the thing doesn't happen, the thing happens but you sign it off, the thing happens but somebody else signs it off. Maybe there was three things. But having that document, which I'm sure we can share because you gave it to me, I copied it, I've now used it, of just really practically setting out a schedule. And there was also a tab in there where it was like, here's my plan for the different months. And practically have a plan A, plan B and plan C. Because I think lots of advice... Your thing earlier of like what practical advice, and I think that was the most helpful practical thing. And I think because you'd done it, I felt like it empowered me that it was okay for me to do it. And I don't know if I would have had the initiative or the confidence to do it had you not given it me. So I feel like it should be shared because there's something in somebody else has already done it that makes it feel like it's more okay to do. Well, it did for me.
So I think the helpful theme of what we talked about is that this isn't something to be apologetic about. And if you reframe that conversation with your team, with your boss, with your investors as, this is really exciting for me and for you, and I'm going to own that position, and I'm not going to feel sheepish about this, that, one, frames the way they perceive this life change, but also kickstarts a whole load of stuff in your head where you allow yourself to be incredibly practical because you're not in denial or like trying to bury a truth. You're owning something. And if I did this again, I would do all of the things I've done. I don't have much kind of regret about the way I've approached this from a professional perspective. And I hope that my return to work will be the same thing. But I would have done that way earlier and I would have given myself much more permission from kind of 5-6 months pregnant to say, here's my reduced hours plan.
Yeah.
Because I'm mentally in quite a different place. And here's the support I need in double checking work because I made some big mistakes in those last 3 months because my brain just was not where I needed it to be. And I'm sure I'll have like more of that to come, but I would own the way I was handling the whole process, not just that bit that I think I did quite a good job of.
Yeah.
I think there's much more to it.
And I think business owners can take the same approach. Like, I'm not talking you and I here, but having somebody have an amazing experience working for you, whether that's pregnant, mother and beyond, is the best retention tool for you. Like if they have an amazing experience, then they're going to want to stay with you. Yeah. And like for you know, it makes business commercial sense as well to really support and have those open conversations and make people feel like they can do that, because ultimately the last thing that I want is somebody to go, unless it's what they want, is to go on maternity then not come back. You know, it doesn't make sense for anybody if it's not, unless it's what they want. So it makes total business sense too.
And I'm holding a torch, quite a big torch, that I'm going to come back to work a way better version of the person I left the business.
I know I am. I know I am. Yeah.
Is that changing already?
Yeah, it's partly clarity that comes from being out the detail, that I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot get back into that detail because it was silly. And I'm so much better. I will be a way better CEO and founder as we scale, being not in all of that level of detail and trusting and empowering my team. And I can do a way better job and focus on different things. That's my biggest thing. I've got such clarity. It's like, I know that already. Yeah.
My chief of staff said to me a few years ago, when I was getting really het up in an emotional people decision, like, if you have kids, you'd be so much better at this. And it was kind of a comment on like, you actually have way too much headspace. There's too much time to fill with stuff that just reverberates that you actually can't do anything with. Like, there was a real risk of overthinking. Yeah. And as I felt my brain capacity reduce, and now I know that like my number of hours of which I can think, let alone be at my laptop, is so small, I'm just seeing that on steroids. Yeah. I'm seeing such a powerful impact of choosing what I'm going to worry about. Yeah. Because my worry is not elastic.
Yeah, and I've known for a few years that for me, as much as I adore what I do, it can't be all of my values. Like it's not going to be what I write on my gravestone, I hope, because life is more important for me than anything like that. And whether or not it's having a child, a family, or I think for any business owner, finding something that makes you so excited and passionate and gets you out of bed in the morning or in the middle of the night that isn't work. Unless for you work is everything, that's fine. But I think it's such a helpful, for me, it's going to be one of the things that I get such joy out of. And it doesn't have to be a baby, it can be loads of things, but having stuff that isn't your work that can become such a big part of your life is...
And makes you better at work.
Yeah, it's just so... Exactly, yeah, totally.
Great.
Wow. Two silent babies. Nailed it.
Thank you so much for listening. I really do want to know what you think. Please do DM me with your thoughts on who I should have on, what I should talk about next, what the progression of this podcast should look like. Next up, I've got Amelia Christie Miller, who is the founder of the Bold Bean Co., coming over. She's very pregnant, so we're going to be having a slightly different conversation about how you think ahead to this big life change. Please do subscribe and rate this podcast because it makes such a difference to the kind of guests that I can talk into coming on the show.